Oh, wow. Good afternoon. Can you hear me, Justin? Or
Loud
good
and clear,
morning.
brother. Loud
Good
and
morning.
clear.
Yeah, I need a new intro for Coffee with Dew. That's our Lone Speed intro.
I think it's all part of the Lone Speed family of entertainment content. Can it all works.
You're not drinking coffee?
I already drank coffee. I got bottled water for now. So calling it bottled water with dew, I don't think is
No,
quite as impactful.
can't do it. Um, so a lot's going on in the world. Listen,
Yeah,
since the Derby, by the way, congratulations to Dylan for winning the Kentucky Derby Lone Speed
Triple Crown
Triple
Fantasy
Crown
League.
fantasy draft. Yeah. So
Yeah,
he got the first pick somehow. And by the way, he drew the pick. So I wonder how he got the first pick.
yeah, cheating
So
bastard.
cheating son of a bitch. He gets mad when you say that too, by the way.
Yeah, because
Uh
he probably didn't cheat.
of course of course he didn't, but I like to dig him a little bit. But yeah, he picked journalism and the rest of his team sucked. But hell, journalism got a win in 2 seconds, and that was enough to edge out Frank, who won with he won the Derby with Sovereignty, and he won the Belmont with Sovereignty, but he still didn't win
I know.
because the rest of his team sucked too. But they had the two best horses. Now me, I had a heads up with Rich. I had Baeza, I had Hill Road, I had Rodriguez, and one of the Japanese horses. He had a bunch of horses I laughed at, including Gosker, who ran second in the Preakness,
Right.
and I gave him 5-1 odds for my 100 to my 500 for his 100. I had to peel off 5 bills to that son of a bitch because I
Well,
lost that bet. I really thought I was taking candy from a baby, and here I am paying off the debt.
and it wouldn't. So I drew the third pick, and I was like, well, I'm not going to get journalism or sovereignty with a third pick, obviously.
Right.
So I'm going to trade back and try to get a better horse with pick two, and then Marco, instead of taking sovereignty with the second pick, took
Wow.
Sandman, which I didn't expect. Had I known that, I would have kept the third pick. But it wouldn't have mattered. I still would have lost. So
Well, Marco's a homer for Arkansas, and Sandman, I didn't like the Derby, Arkansas Derby horses this year.
yeah.
The world is a crazy place right now. Before we dive into some horses, we have a lot of. Here's some highlights here of some missiles hitting
Yeah.
Tel Aviv from Iran.
Iran.
Iran. I said Iran, and somebody got mad at me on which I know it's Iran, but whatever.
Yeah.
The pronunciation's everything. But so the way this shook out, obviously, death to America, blah blah blah. Israel says they can't have nukes. They took out a couple of sites. I think they have 5-6 sites, maybe more, spread out across the country. They took out all of these sites that they could. There's one that's really, really deep in the ground. That's the topic of conversation lately. But you can see the Iron Dome with David Sling and the Iron Dome rockets. They took out a lot of these. I think nine of the missiles hit Tel Aviv. 13 or so died. Anyway, what's your take on this situation? Should we get involved? Should we bring out the Moab?
Yeah. So I mean, I've got a lot of thoughts. They're kind of all over the place. So, for starters, I'm very pro-Israel,
Okay.
and that's not because my wife is Jewish. That literally has nothing to do with it. For my entire life and longer. I mean, I was born in 1976, so this goes
Right.
far beyond my time here on Earth. Israel and lots of other lots of Western countries have been victims of Islamic terrorism. Okay, America, of course, we all remember 9/11 and a number of other things. The Marine barracks in Beirut in 1980. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the last time Israeli terrorists went in and bombed a building or hijacked an airplane or did whatever. My take on Israel and the Palestinians is very cut and dried. That area of land, currently known as Israel, previously known as Palestine, back in biblical times known as, I believe, Judea, and I'm not a biblical scholar, but it has changed hands many, 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 many times over thousands of years. And, in World War I, the Ottoman Empire sided with Germany and lost. Hey, is everybody seeing this ad that keeps popping up on the screen? I don't know what that was. There was an ad popping up on the video here that I can see. Anyway, not important.
I took it off. But yeah, you broke up a little bit, but you're good.
You said you can't hear me, or you can?
No, I hear you now. You broke up just a little bit.
Okay. If I do, just tell me. And sometimes I got to restart.
You're good now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so the land that is now Israel was called Palestine, and it was part of the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottoman Empire sided with Germany in World War I and lost. And then that land became controlled by the British, and same with a lot of other land in that area. And some borders were redrawn. And then, after World War II, after the West, including Britain and everybody else, sort of failed to stop the Nazis from taking over Europe and killing millions of Jews and displacing millions of Jews. And I'm fuzzy on the sequence of events, but the Jews wanted their own homeland, which you could argue that they're entitled to, given what the rest of the West permitted them to experience. So Palestine, which had been inhabited by many Jews and of course many Muslims as well the whole time, the British decided to make that a Jewish state and call it Israel. And then that was in 1948, I think, ish. And then 20 years later, late 60s, three Arab countries, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt, decided they were going to attack Israel, try to take it back the Palestinian, but essentially for Muslims. And Israel beat them and said, you know what, now we're going to take some of your land because you attacked us, and we're just not going to tolerate that. And they took an area called the Golan Heights, the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip. And then you had a lot of other terrorist activity. The 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich, you had
by the way, there was a great film on that.
Yeah.
The Retaliation. I forgot the name of it. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple good films and documentaries on it. But, they went in and kidnapped the Israeli Olympic team and murdered them. So this has been going on for beyond my entire life, but certainly my entire life. And then we saw what happened on October 7th when Palestinians living in Gaza invaded Israel and killed a couple thousand people or something, did some horrible things. And I think Israel said, all right, we're done. We've, Israel has taken a number of peace proposals to the table. They have all been rejected by, and again, you can say it's Yasser Arafat, you can say it's Hamas, Hezbollah. Let's stop differentiating. This is about Jews versus Muslims. And Iran, which is officially called the Islamic State of Iran, at least it was when I was in I don't know what it's officially called now, but it's an Islamic state, has sworn publicly to attempt to wipe Israel off the map. Mm-hmm. And Israel is our ally. Even if they weren't our ally, I think they would have every right to defend themselves from enemies who have, on the record in public, said we're going to kill all of you and take that land back. And I think Israel said, you know what, enough. We're taking the gloves off. I hear these arguments about, well, Israel is provoking by settling and I look, okay. When Israel starts firebombing innocent people, then we can talk about Israeli atrocities. Okay. But let's not overcomplicate this. I saw Bill Maher
Bill Maher. He's been speaking.
Yeah, he's still a
normal.
liberal, and I
No, I
still
know, but he's a regular liberal. He's
yeah,
regular. He's
but
normal.
I disagree with a ton of what he says, but he made a great point. He's like, look at the flag of Saudi Arabia. Okay, it's got a sword on it. All right, what do you think that means? It's because what Islam did for 1,000+ years was go everywhere they could and kill anyone they couldn't convert to Islam, and take over every other place that they were capable of, and that's what they've done. And they are trying to do that again with Israel, and Israel's taking the gloves off and doing what they have to do. They believe, and I find it hard to disagree with this, that they think it's not in their interest. Israel believes it is not in Israel's interest to allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I find it hard to disagree with that. So they're taking the actions they think are appropriate. Should the United States get involved? What I don't want is for American troops to be on the ground. I think in this day and age, we've got the technology
right
to assert our will anywhere we need to without putting Americans in harm's way. I have absolutely no doubt that if the United States of America decided they wanted to take out all of Iran's defensive and military capabilities without putting an American within thousands of miles of Iran, it could absolutely 100% be done. Don't ask me to explain how, but we have very complicated weapon systems that we pay hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars for every year to accomplish this very thing. So I think, should the United States get involved? I think we are allied with Israel, and if we determine jointly that Iran is a threat to Israel and God knows where else, then we should do whatever we have to do to neutralize that threat. That's my take.
Yeah, I think we've been helping with the defense systems from the Mediterranean. Whatever the Iron Dome can't handle, I think we've been firing some Patriot missiles or whatever from the sea, from the Mediterranean. Defense stuff is good. Obviously nobody wants boots on the ground. I think the Iranian people are clamoring for a regime change. They just, who takes that first step and does it to overthrow the Ayatollah? The leadership is so bad there, but the people are great. One of my favorite people in the world that I watch this podcast, Patrick Bet-David on Valuetainment. He's got live podcast every Tuesday and Thursdays. Pretty cool. You should check it out if you can. And he's Iranian. He came here right after the Ayatollah took over. He was a young boy. His family's from there. He said he would love to go back. There's a lot of history when it was Persia back in, thousands of years ago, and then a lot of artifacts. And I think the people just want peace. And I think when you hear the death to America, the death to Israel, I think that's a minority group in Iran, especially but it's the government. They're chanting that in their chambers.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know the whole history of how they came into power. I should probably look into that a little bit further. But the Shah of Iran got exiled, and these guys came in. I don't know if you know too much about that, but
well, I know that we overthrew the government of Iran back in the late 50s, early 60s.
Well, that was a bad idea, and it was a bad idea to do that in Iraq. Hussein kept a lot of people. I mean, look, do you like the guy? No, but not my monkey, not my circus. You know what I mean? Let them do what they have to do out there. They were fighting each other. They killed I think there was 1 million deaths between Iraq and Iran and the war that they had in the 80s. Scud missiles, all that stuff. Of course, they were using mustard gas and some other biological weapons, chemical weapons, actually, that weren't approved by the Geneva Convention, but that's a whole other story. But I don't know where I'm going with this. What I'm saying is, I think if we do decide to help Israel with a Moab and take out the last nuclear site. Will Iran attack some of the bases that are close by in Kuwait, in Saudi Arabia, stuff like that? They have the short-range missiles to hit those sites.
Well, I remember, and you and I are the same age. In the Iraq War back in the early '90s, we learned about Patriot missiles, and you just talked about that a few minutes ago. And Israel's got this Iron Dome,
right?
Which of course, is it's the result of American defense contractors. I don't understand how any Iranian missiles are getting through. I thought that was the point. I mean, I get it, like they're stopping a lot of it, but they should be stopping all of it. Like what is Raytheon doing here? Like the amount of the billions and billions and billions of dollars that we spend on these complicated weapon systems to then give them to our allies around the world. What the fuck is going on? There should be zero getting through.
Well, we should. You're thinking. Well, they do have. They have the Fatah missile. It's a supersonic missile, I guess. That's a little bit harder to intercept. Mm-hmm. Some of the older missiles that they got from Russia and stuff like that, from 80s and 70s technology, we're able to easily shoot those down. But yeah, we have technology that we don't even know about, but they have that they could probably use. I got an interesting comment here from Tony V. Israel was involved with the killing of President JFK, then stole uranium from America for their nuclear bomb. In 1967, Israel killed dozens of American sailors on the USS Liberty. Israel is not our friend. Interesting. Well,
yeah, I mean,
they're not chanting death to America. I don't believe the JFK assassination conspiracy theory. I have my own on that. I think it was LBJ with the mafia. I know you think it was just a lone wolf, and I don't want to dive into all that. As far as the they do look, Israel does have a nuclear bomb, and that should tell you all you need to know. They haven't used it. They could easily wipe out Iran with their nukes. They have a Jericho 2 tip missile. From the research that I've done, it's kind of like hush, hush. We don't really have one, but wink, wink, we do. But yeah, Israel, I think, has a nuke, and I think the fact that they haven't used it tells you all you need to know. If Iran had a nuke with this leadership group, I think they would hesitate without a doubt to use it on Israel and try and wipe them out. That's why they're playing offense by defense. I think, honestly, Justin, I think Israel can easily take care. Look what they've done. They've taken out 60% of their surface-to-air missiles defenses already. They own the skies pretty much, over 90% of Iran. They can do whatever they want over Iran now. They have the best intelligence in the world. They have better intelligence than the United States even. This is their game. Every day is somebody going to bomb us, or is somebody going to fire some missiles at us? So I think we should stand by, watch closely, maybe share some intelligence with Israel. But I think they can handle themselves right now. And I don't know if we should get involved or need to get involved now.
Well, we're involved either way. Whether
we're involved defensively.
Well, listen, the planes that Israel will be flying will be American fighter jets. I mean,
well, we have sold them F-14s, F-15s, and they do have some F-35 Raptors that they've bought from us. I mean, Iran's bought stuff from China and from Russia. So, you can buy stuff.
Yeah, I think that there should be a price to be paid for maliciously killing innocent civilians. Now, before somebody makes an idiot comment about how many innocent people Americans have killed over the years, of course that's happened. Collateral damage is a terrible thing. But what America does is generally in the interest of freedom and democracy, and to fight terrorism, et cetera, et cetera. Some Americans have done things that I'm sure we wish. We shot down in the late 80s an Iranian passenger plane. I believe it was the USS Vincennes in the Persian Gulf, or one of those bodies of water there. shot down an Iranian passenger plane, killed, I don't know, I think a couple hundred Iranian citizens because we thought it was a military plane. I mean, we did that. It was a mistake. It was an honest mistake. We're not out there trying to like destroy innocent lives. And for longer than my entire life, in the name of Islam, there have been a lot of innocent people killed maliciously in the name of terror. So I think there's a major distinction. It is not a moral equivalency. And with regard to the comment that someone left a moment ago saying Israel is not our friend, I mean, okay, you know, I don't agree with that. I'm not saying they're our closest friend. I'm not saying they're perfect, but look, you're talking about a country, Israel, that for its entire existence, since before day one, has been the subject of relentless assaults, both militarily and via terrorism. Okay. So if you provoke someone for decades, 70, 80 years, however many years it's been, yeah, the people who are provoked are going to occasionally probably cross some lines that they wish they hadn't crossed or didn't intend to cross. I guess the answer there is stop provoking them.
Yeah, I do want to point one thing out too. Israel is targeting non-civilian military sites. Iran, the regime of, not the people, the government of Iran and the Ayatollah guy pictured here, Khamenei, they're just throwing mud at the wall, seeing what sticks. I mean, they're hitting hospital. The hospital was hit the other day. Residential areas. They don't care where these missiles are landing. Israel is doing precision strikes on nuclear sites. So I think that needs to be conveyed too. And look, go ahead. Yeah. And by the way, I can't reiterate enough. The government of Iran is chanting death to America, death to Israel.
Mm-hmm. I know.
These aren't regular people.
This is, so here's what I found, that this issue, as well as so many other issues that we talk about here in American politics, it comes down to this. If you reduce everything to the lowest common denominator, it comes down to strength and weakness. There are a lot of people in America who don't like, and I got to be careful how I say this. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but there are a lot of Americans, and not just Americans, people around the world, who don't like the existence of strength and weakness. They don't like that some people, either because they were lucky at birth or because of how hard they worked throughout life, are in a position of strength, whereas other people, and perhaps even other countries, either because of how they were born or to whom, or because of what they've done with their lives, are in a position of weakness. So that is why there are people that you and I both know, we don't have to mention them by name, that they post their occasional political beliefs on social media, and they are always 100% of the time, they are on the side of the party, whether that's a person or a political party or a group of people or whatever. They are on the side of the weak, irrespective of the facts. It never, ever fails. And in the case of Israel versus whomever, in this case it's Iran, but it could be the Palestinians or whatever, Israel is deemed to be strong because they're allied with the United States and because it's inhabited by Jews.
Justin, you broke up slightly.
Okay. Well, I don't know how long I was broken up for, but Israel.
No, just for like 3 seconds, you broke up.
Okay.
It was.
Thanks for telling me. Israel is perceived to be strong. Jewish people are perceived to be wealthy. Iran, in this case, is perceived to be the weak or the victims or whatever. So the facts I have found among many people in America who comment on politics are irrelevant. Elon Musk said this just within the last month, that one of the things he's noticed in the last few years was, if you're weak, then you're right. In other words, if your cause or if you as an individual or you as a group are in a position of weakness, then all of a sudden everybody just takes your side. Okay. Like we have come to the point in America where biological males are competing in sports against women. And there are people that fight for their right to do that. I mean, think about how crazy that is.
It's really insane. I mean, and it's not even an 80-20. It's like a 5-95, and they will die on that sword.
I mean, there are tons of like serious Democrats and, you know, people that I know that like have jobs and pay their bills and live in a house that believe that biological males who believe they were born in the wrong body or whatever should be allowed to compete in sports against women. Like that is the point that we have gotten to. Let's take illegal immigration. I mean, there are in LA and lots of other cities.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yep.
You have people fighting in the streets to defend the rights of illegal immigrants to be in this country and to stay for as long as they want and get whatever government assistance they think they need. Okay. So, you know, the Trump administration, and we don't even have to get into like what Obama did, how many he's deported. It's not even relevant. I don't even care. But the idea of sending an illegal immigrant who has committed crimes in this country back to their home country, that should be a no-brainer. But there are Americans who are so strongly against that, they will protest in the streets. Now, what I think that indicates isn't a profound passion for fighting for a cause. I think it demonstrates some kind of pathological issue, for lack of a better word. And you have people that are so committed to fighting against the strong, irrespective of the facts, that they will fight for anything, including biological males competing in women's sports, or illegal criminals who come here, do harm, being sent. We're not being killed. And people try to equate it to the Nazis. Like Hitler would have killed those people in horrible ways. Trump is just sending them back to where they came from and where they belong, because that's their country of origin.
I kind of chuckle at the due process thing, you know. Right. That cracks me up. And then I do want to mention, in May, 0 border crossings sent back. Nobody was sent back. There was like 0 crossings in May, and fentanyl deaths are way down. And we just seized a huge shipment of fentanyl just a few days ago.
The reason this has become, there are 2 reasons that this is a hot topic. One, because of what I just alluded to, which is people just hell bent on fighting for the weak, irrespective of the facts, irrespective of who they're actually fighting on behalf of. It's a pathological need. And the other is what it does to the demographics of the country and how it changes the congressional line. So if California loses hundreds of thousands or millions or wherever the number is of illegal immigrants, that is going to change how many congressional seats California has. And there are political implications to this. I mean, if you additionally, we know that illegals have voted in elections. That's why Democrats don't want you to have to present an ID, obviously. Let's not overthink this. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the most likely explanation, okay? That's what it's about, politics and power. They want illegals in here to vote. They want illegals in here to count in the census so that liberal districts get more congressional seats. That is all it is about, period. And no matter how many ridiculous or absurd logical points you attempt to make, oh, we're all immigrants, oh, this was Mexico first. Shut up. Like, shut up. Just hush. That's not what it's about. You know what it's about. And their reasons, their motivations, in my opinion, are illegitimate. Just like I think their logic is illegitimate in the battle of Israel versus Iran.
Did you see this story here? FBI gives Congress files on alleged Chinese plot to interfere in 2020 election. There were 20,000, I guess, driver's licenses and ballots and things that were seized. And I guess they were for Biden. They're trying to get votes for Biden.
Yeah.
Just came out. Of course, the mainstream media won't cover that, but it was a huge story that came out. This article is from June 17th,
I
and
saw the headline. I did
yeah,
not.
it was a big story that just got pretty much swept underneath the rug. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So
there was it wasn't Russia interference. It was apparently Chinese and whoever else. But
I think just to before we get into the horses, to summarize all of the above, that's I think I talked about a minute ago about the lowest common denominator. And if you kind of dumb everything down, I think maybe as much as 50% of the country, maybe a little less, but roughly 50% of America thinks that America and life is just unfair. And life is unfair. And I think America, for all its imperfections, is the greatest system the world has ever seen. There may be some things that are unfair. You're never going to eliminate unfairness. Life is inherently unfair. And I've said this to you. I've said it on this show before on your YouTube channel. I've said it to my friends and to my family. Life is inherently unfair. Some girls are born beautiful and they have rich parents. And you just know that girl is going to have probably, as long as she doesn't turn to drugs or some abusive guy, probably going to have a pretty comfortable life. Other girls are maybe born not so pretty. Some guys are born with boring personalities and a low self-esteem. And you just know that they're going to probably not have as easy a time as people who are born to two good parents with maybe the dad's got a good job. Maybe the mom can stay home and raise a family and raise kids properly. And they can go to public schools and their homework gets checked. And then someone pays for college. That person is probably going to have a good life. Life is unfair. Some people don't experience that. But that doesn't mean we have to destroy everything that America is just so people who are mad about unfairness can feel that they make things a little bit more fair. And I think that the motivation to fight for these absurd causes, whether it's the Palestinians or illegal immigrants or Iran or whatever, the motivation is to use unfairness to fight unfairness. It's like, oh, you think your life is so great because whatever, you're a pretty white girl with rich parents and whatever. Well, guess what? We're gonna elect people who will be unfair to kind of level the playing field. That's what they think the purpose of government is. They think government is there and elected officials are there to level the playing field and make things more fair. And I completely disagree with that at all. Who is behind all the illegal immigrants brought into our country in the last 4 years under Biden? Alejandro Mayorkas, look him up. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty well documented that the Biden administration opened the borders. I mean, I don't think anyone can seriously dispute that.
Was it really Biden though with the auto pen thing? And that's a whole nother story that's coming out.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, we could dive into that and later at a different show. And I did want to touch base on Vance Bolter. There's a news story about him and Tim Walz. I think he's kind of crazy, but he said he was trained by the military, a secret op group. This just came out. And then Tim Walz wanted him to assassinate Amy Klobuchar so Tim Walz can get the governor's seat. I don't know. That might be far-fetched, but I think that guy has a few marbles that are loose, and he's not playing with a full deck of cards.
Yeah, but, to me, that's not an exciting story. Some lunatic got some addresses of some elected officials and made a list and tried to kill him. I mean, that's obviously terrible. Hey, all the more reason to keep a gun in your house, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Churchill Downs. You have a horse.
Well,
that you like from a trip note from a show that we did like 9 months ago.
Yeah, my buddy Jordan, who was part of the Lone Speed Patreon, which still technically exists. I'm just not putting out any content there. We can get into what I've been doing with my life the last several months. It's not really very exciting. The bottom, let me just keep this short. I tried my hand at being a professional horse player. What I really mean by that is I tried to pay the bills by betting on horses. And there were a couple of months where it worked really well. There were more months where it didn't. I had I turf racing and specifically turf routes are my thing. I was playing the Gulfstream Park and the Santa Anita Turf Pick 3, not every day, but most days. And combined over so far this year in 2025, so we're almost through the first 6 months of the year. There have been, including some pick 5s sprinkled in there, I think just over $100,000 in will pays that I've had in the last 6, and this may stretch back into last year.
You had actual will pays. You were to the last race, to the last horse.
Yeah, I had, because I play sometimes $100 turf pick 3s, and I have play sometimes $10 pick 4s. I mean, and there have been some that have paid a lot. I had a Santa Anita turf pick 3 that paid $3,000, paid 1,000 to 1, and I had it for $3. Okay, so that was one of the ones where I nailed it. I didn't bet it for enough because it was kind of like a B ticket, but that's irrelevant. My point is this: I had a lot of will pays. Some of them I think I was on the best horse in the final leg and it should have won and got a bad trip. Other times I just missed. But the short answer is I wasn't able to make a living the way that I wanted to by betting the horses. So I am back into my career that I've had for most of the last 15 years. I'm in cybersecurity again. I haven't really looked at the horses very much in the last couple months because I've been trying to be head down, focusing on restarting my career as a sales rep for a very successful cybersecurity company. And I sometimes I don't do well when I have too many distractions. That's just the reality. And however, my friend Jordan, who is part of the Lone Speed Patreon group, sent me a text this week and said, hey, in the first race at Churchill Downs on Saturday night, and scratches aren't even out yet because it's 6 o'clock post time. The first horse in the first race, number 1, Proctor Street. He said, Justin, said this horse was a bet back from its last race. Now, to be clear, I should never say a horse is an automatic bet back because that means I don't even know who the horse is running against or what the race looks like. However, Proctor Street is, I think, a horse that I bet in the debut win a little over a year ago at Indiana Grand. Beat me at Saratoga last July. I was on a horse in that race named Destiny Star, who finished third.
Next time out.
Finished third at 32 to 1 and won next out. Yep. And then came back, and I haven't watched the replay, but Jordan tells me, and I'm sure he's correct, that in Proctor Street's last start, which was back in September, she had a trip of death and didn't run badly. So now, to be fair, I haven't watched that. I guess you're going to pull it up right now, right?
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up right now to watch it.
Proctor Street is the 12 horse.
The trip of death is a real thing. Okay, we're the 12 here.
We're watching the 12.
Ready to jam as the leader. Also joining this leader is going to be Ori, and Ori wants to apply some pressure.
So far, not too bad. Was able to slide over to the 2-path, 3-path, whatever.
Yeah, so far it's not a textbook trip of death. It's a suboptimal position.
It's getting weird right now.
Yeah, now the horse is kind of a little bit of a rush up there, and yeah, this is a textbook trip of death position.
Oh yeah. 23 and change.
For those of you who don't know what that is, what I call the trip of death is defined as in a turf route being one path or more to the outside of the leader, being within one length of the leader. So basically, if your horse's nose is within the tail, let's say, of the leader, and you're a path to the outside with no cover, that's a disadvantageous position to be in my opinion. And very often you see horses get this trip and you think they're going to turn it on at the top of the lane and then they don't.
This is so textbook.
Yeah, it is.
And it's going to get tired as predicted because it had to do a lot of heavy lifting with that 43 to 1 shot. And it's just going to get caught here by a few horses. And usually the horse on the lead, by the way, they usually do fight much better than the TOD
Yes,
horse.
they do. So that's a perfect example. I mean, that's the
Yep.
the second place finisher. That was Ori. I got to remind myself who.
Yeah, that was the horse that had the lead. And usually the pace setter, no matter how fast they go, usually runs well when you're running after that horse on a TOD. You're the one that's going to have the worst of it. And you're right. This Jordan is absolutely right. Lamplighter Jack, a horse that we own, has had 2 TODs in his last 4 starts. So
a key race. The race we just watched is a key race. 3 next out winners. And also the win Proctor Street's win on July 18th. Also a key race. Also 3 next out winners.
Yeah, some key runners here. Wow. Look at this horse. Look at dynamic pricing for Chad Brown. Just won a grade 1. And
then the debut win for Proctor Street, 2 next out winners, including Proctor Street. So, look, this horse has faced some good horses. As far as how the race shapes up today, I am going to check out Optics. And just full disclosure, this is the first time I have logged into Optics in a very long time. Proctor Street does not plot exceptionally well on Optics at all.
There doesn't look to be a ton of speed at first glance.
No, but I'm going to talk about some of the other horses in this field, which I know these horses very well. Number 2, which is pronounced Viv Verve.
Okay.
And number 6, Mo Fox Given.
We know that one well.
Yeah, these just total quitters. I mean, these are not warriors by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying they can't run well, but these are horses I think you'll go broke over time if you bet them. The 3 Sanctify, we're at a mile and a 16th here, and the horse looks like, well, it's got to win at a mile, and going to be coming from off the pace, but according to time form, doesn't have the kick that Proctor Street is expected to have in here. So I don't think the 3 is one that would be near the top of my list. Jill Jitterbug, 4 stretching out from 5.5, 4 for 24 lifetime and in for an $80,000 tag. Probably would be a surprise. Number 5, Crispy Rice, named for my favorite cereal, Rice Krispies. Again, was 85-1 against Similar last time out and kind of split the field, lost to Viv Verve, lost to Pharaoh's Wine that day. Pharaoh's Wine is also kind of one of those, I think, underachieving turf fillies. We talked about Mo Fox Given, just 2 for 17 lifetime. Hasn't won in many starts.
Yeah,
was odds on when she won that day in January of 2024. Look, Mo Fox is experienced and can win, I guess, if she decides to run today. Number 7, Waves of Mischief. You got some class here. This one won on debut at Keeneland as a 5-2 favorite a little over a year ago. Then won a grade 3 last summer at Ellis. I wonder if I was on. I might have played this horse that day. I'll have to go back and look. Ran a good second to Kathy and Marissa, whatever the horse's name is, at Kentucky Downs. Tried grade 1 company, then came back. So I would say a thing to do. Can we watch the replay for Waves of Mischief's last start at Church Williams on May 11th?
I'll have to let me get my advanced wagering site up.
Well, yeah, I would say before anybody bets this race, just watch that replay, and you see rank between early, inside 2 to 3 path. So we want to watch and see if that horse maybe had a built-in excuse.
I'm looking for, what date is that, Justin?
It's May 11th, the 4th at Churchill Downs.
May 11th.
And because Formulator doesn't have a good relationship with Churchill Downs, DRF, rather, we can't watch Churchill replays.
And it's the 4th race.
The 4th race won by, I think it's Adrastea is how you say that horse's name. 3 of them come out Sanctify and Breezing Along are all in here. So Sanctify, Breezing Along, and Waves of Mischief are all in here.
What number are we looking at?
Pause. Can you press pause real quick, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Okay. So Breezing Along, who's in today's race, is breaking from the 1 hole. That would make it the 2 horse.
Okay.
Then you have Waves of Mischief breaking from the 4 hole. That would make it the 5. And then Waves of Mischief. Yeah, I just said it was the 5. Sanctify is in post 7. That makes it what, the 6? No, the 8. The 8.
So 2, 5, and 8 are what we're looking at.
You're watching 2, 5, and 8 here in this replay.
Everybody got away well and just looking for their spot. The
So
5 looks a
five's-
little slightly rank there.
Yeah, more than slightly ranked. That's rank. I mean, that's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a little. Yeah, it just kept getting worse as I was looking at it. And now he's settled in here, but he got relegated from, I don't know, 2nd or 3rd all the way back there. Now he's on the rail back there.
yeah.
Still a little uncomfortable, but
And the 2 is not in a trip. The 2's in an okay. I'm okay if a horse is in this spot. I still prefer to be on the rail, maybe half a length farther back than it is, but not terrible. And then where's our 8? Our 8's at the rail there inside the 3.
8's kind of in a good spot.
Yeah, right. And the 5, Waves of Mischief, looks like trying to get up in between horses maybe a little bit here.
I tell you what, he's been a little uncomfortable all the way around
Yeah,
a little bit.
no
His head's
question.
kind of,
Yep.
he's between horses. He's a little uncomfortable here even.
Just, they went to half in 47.76. I feel like, maybe the horse wanted to go a little quicker. I'll circle back to the PPs here in a minute and see if.
Now the 5 looks like he's got horse, but we'll see. I forgot where he finished in our PPs,
He
but
finishes what? He finishes 6th.
so he just flattened out here. He flattened out. Okay. The 8 is
The 2 and
on
the 8 are in
rail.
there on the inside. There's really there's no real excuse for them, I don't think.
Yeah, I thought the 8 had a good trip all the way around there, and the
Yep.
2 really didn't have a bad trip either. The 5 was pretty rank all the way around. Looked like he wanted to make a move at the far turn at the 3/8 to the quarter and just kind of
So, yeah, the 5 in the replay we just watched. The 5 in the replay we just watched is today's 7, Waves of Mischief. That was the first start for Waves of Mischief since the Grade 1 Queen Elizabeth II Cup at Keeneland, where she finished last of 10. Before that, she was 2nd of 12 at Kentucky Downs in a $1.5 million stakes race. And then before that, she won the Grade 3 Pucker Up at Ellis Park for her 2nd win. So I think you can project very reasonable improvement today for Waves of Mischief.
Well, you have Pratt. You're adding the hood again, so I'm assuming back at that synthetic race at Woodbine, they showed some speed with it, and
Right.
it didn't run well. They said we're going to scratch that, and it did win, run 2nd. But now they're putting the hood back on. What do you make of that? Because the horse that's stretching out from the 4 hole will probably show some speed. Is this a TOD situation for the 7 tracking the 4?
Or is Pratt going to gun it for the lead? I mean, Optics says
Is the 7 going to be fast enough to run to get the lead on the 4 though?
Yeah, and I don't know. I think we're going to have to find out. I mean, it's Flavian. I don't think you throw about Flavian being. I think Flavian can avoid the trip of death. I think he knows what an optimal trip is. So I think the 7 is a must include. Honestly, I mean, I think, and then you got to decide about the 8, Breezing Along, 2 for 15 lifetime. The wins came at Belterra, and they came at Indiana Grand. And don't sleep on those Indiana Grand races. There's nothing wrong, but hasn't won since. Breezing Along was the 2 horse in the race we just watched.
Well, I watched that that Hawthorne race live, and Katie Milady's an okay horse, nice, decent mare, but nothing special. She's nice. But to run that bad in there, maybe it was a TOD early on. I can't tell from that.
It looks like it was not because
I don't think it was. I don't think it was. But that wasn't a very good effort at Hawthorne. And it should have, if you're going to be running.
Well, it was Lasix off, just to notice. Now that we get Lasix back on the 8.
Okay. All right. I guess if you want to use that angle.
But again, I mean, if you're somewhat concerned about the post for the 7, you got to be, I think, really concerned about it for the 8. I just don't think I prefer the 7 over the 8. And the question is, then what about the 1?
Well, the 1, I'll tell you what, one of my favorite angles. I love when these 4-year-olds make their debut when they're fast. And this one was fast as a 3-year-old. And it's probably, I always say, bigger, stronger, faster as a 4-year-old now. And we're talking June. Why were you off that long? I don't know.
No workout until May. And then you have May 10th, 16th, 22nd, 29th, June 3rd, June 11th. So how is Brendan Walsh off 180 days? Formula City's 14.
Respectable. It's nothing to write home about, but it's not terrible. And 14%. But again, we talked about the juice on the other horse. Well, this one ran really well with Lasix at Saratoga in Indiana before the TOD. I don't think the Lasix hurt this runner. It just got the TOD.
Yeah, to me, I think what we're looking at here is a 1-7.
Yeah, listen, this horse should trip out. It should be sitting third on the rail, covered up.
Yeah,
and it should show a nice, powerful kick in the lane. Are you? What about Curtis? Is that?
No, I think Curtis is solid. He had a good meet somewhere. Was it Keeneland where he had a good meet? I don't remember, but he I think he's perfectly capable. Perfectly capable.
Well, these horses. This horse has had a different jockey now every start. I like to have a little bit of consistency, but when you're running at 4 different tracks and 4 different races, I guess that's going to be hard to do.
Yeah. So to me, listen, I think number 2, Viv Verve, and 6, Mo Fox-Given. I think those horses are bets against. That's just what I think.
I agree.
They could easily run 1-2 easily, and it's not going to surprise me if they do run 1-2. I just think if you bet these the horses like this, if you bet them every time they run, you're gonna go broke, because I think they're not fighters. I don't think they're. There's upside with Proctor Street. I think there's upside with Waves of Mischief. I think they're clearly the top 2, and. Are we going to get 8-1 on Proctor Street?
No.
I would be shocked.
No.
If we got
No. There's no way.
So maybe for me, it's maybe if it's 5-1 on Proctor Street, maybe I take half my bankroll as a win bet, and the rest of it in exactas with a 7. Maybe
I'm already looking at a double.
Oh wow, a dirt maiden.
Yeah, shit. Anything? Oh boy, we got some firsters with Brad Cox. We got second timeouts. There's an Asmussen firster. Oh, I got a trip note on the 7, 2 back at Oaklawn. Broken Tangle has gait issues.
All right.
It dwelt before that. Yeah, it's always had some terrible. I watched all the replays on this horse. It's always broke bad, but last time it broke well, it looks like. It's been a money burner a little. Well, it was the favorite 3 back. Lost to Guns Loaded. This is a decent little horse. It's 2-1. Maybe we do a double to that one. I don't know what it'll pay. You got Pratt on it, and that's a big upgrade from I'm assuming Eric Asmussen. I don't know.
Yeah. While you're looking at that, I'm glancing at the 7th. Because there are some familiar names.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to do a 1-7 double, and then let's go to the 7th.
And I know these horses. I don't think I have much interest in betting this race. It looks like a competitive field, and and that's the last turf race of the day. And there's a grade 2 at 7 furlongs on the dirt. The 9th race, that's the Chicago Stakes.
No, that used to be at Arlington. So now it's over here.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, my only bet of the day is probably going to be the opener at Churchill Downs, and I'll just try to catch lightning in a bottle. Hopefully, the 2 Viv Verve and the 6 Mo Fox Given run off the exacta. Hopefully, the 8 is who I think she is, and it's all 1-7. I think that's it. And then, so I want to be careful what I say in here, but Canterbury is running.
Oh, let's go to Canterbury. Yeah, you told me a little bit about this. We somebody's
right.
going to be flying out there.
I don't want to say any names because I don't know what I'm allowed to reveal.
Right.
But there is one of these races at a mile, and I don't know which one it is. It's a stake, so let me look. Hold on. It's the one with the 5-horse field. So that is probably going to be race number. God, is it the 7th? No, that's
could be the 5th.
Could be the 2nd. It's the 2nd. Okay. All right. Race number 2 at Canterbury tonight. The 5-horse, Rich City Girl.
Geez, it looks like a standout.
Right. It sounds like there's maybe uncertainty about how far the horse can go.
Oh, this is a mile. Okay.
And maybe the thing to do is to try to see if you can beat the horse.
All right. If I was to beat this horse, this is a mile on turf. Let me see something here. That one likes to be on the muscle.
The rest of the field is absolute crap.
I guess if you think the 3 will transfer to turf.
Well, the 2 had a bad start last time.
Well, that was on. They got washed off and they just collected a check, got out of Dodge. But the races earlier in the spring, nothing to really write home about. It did win on debut, but you got a hot trainer. I don't know if I can endorse it. I would want a more of an unknown of the 3 or the 4 that have never run on turf and hope that they can. And I'm just kind of, I've never seen a Tomlinson number that, if you believe in those numbers, the 4 has a 183 turf Tomlinson number. Some of the siblings here at least this one did some decent things on the turf. But if you think one of those 2 can run on turf, maybe go there. Unless you think the pace is going to be contentious, and then the 2, if you think it can just sit back, make one run, and everybody gets tired and he swoops down the lane. It's 2-1. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's if I decide to play this race, which is probably 25%, I would say, see what the price is on the 2. If the 5 is going to be a massive price, and I'm told it's going to be, well under even money, then
it looks like a 2-5 shot, and the 2 looks like it should be double, like an overlay of 4-1 or something.
Yep. Agreed. I think that's what we're gonna get. So, maybe that's the angle. And then, does Ravelli have anything in the 3rd? No, Ravelli's got 4 horses going today at Canterbury.
Let's see what's in the 5th.
In the 5th, he's got the 3, Queen Judith.
Okay, Queen Judith just ran at Hawthorne, a good race there against Cat Attack.
In the 6th, he's got the 5, Homie. That's 3, and then he's got Big Vince. Big Vince
is that's that horse at the NHC that we played.
Yep. It's the one that lost to the other Ravelli, Can't Deny It.
Yes. Yes. What was that? March 7th. Yeah, it won at 5-1, and I actually picked this horse that day. They've run respectable in some stakes, and now they're back on turf. Looks interesting. Larry's always, I mean, with turf sprinters, he's one of the best in the country, you know. Well, he's 31% this year or whatever. I guess there's no surprise here. Man, where's E.T. Baird been?
Mm-hmm.
I remember he used to ride a lot of those horses. But, yeah, there's going to be no secret. And a gun from the rail. Catch me if you can.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to probably focus on Canterbury.
Listen, if we make a lot of money on the first race at Churchill,
yeah,
maybe we could, because these races are at night too. We could dive into some night action.
Maybe if I start feeling crazy. I think, hey, Steve, I think we're going to crush that Churchill opener tonight.
I like the Churchill opener. I like everything about it. I just, 8-1's kind of a pipe dream, I think. But, you do have some big names in there, and you do have the Pratt runner, which will keep us honest.
Yes. I mean, listen, that's a great point. I was just thinking the same thing. You've got these other horses, like Mo Fox-Given is known. Viv Verve is known. And, Pratt is the
yes, we'll take money.
7 we like the 7. So yeah, we might get 6-1 on Proctor Street. Maybe it won't be 4-1.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Maybe 5-6-1. I'll take that. And like I said, let's sit like Chili covered up on the rail, maybe third early, because the horse isn't slow early. We'll be covered up behind a couple of pace setters. Just bide our time and then hit that go button and power home. I think that's the trip.
Is the Simonovich clan still partying hard from?
Oh, Dick Best? Yeah. Dick Best won by 9.5. He likes routing. I don't know. We sprinted him for some. I think the thing was the races came up in those allowance races. They were sprints. We thought we could just enter and win those sprint races. We ran second in one. The other one we had a bad trip in. I'm like, Dad, let's stretch this one back out. And he dominated, and I guess we'll look for an allowance now for him. And my brother Danny's been doing really good. The horses are all feeling good. We had 3 live runners Sunday that did call the races. We're going to be at 99 with over a 150 humidity and temperature combined, which will be an automatic no by HISA. So no racing at Hawthorne on Sunday. They're ditching the card. Speaking of all that, no contests. By the way, I've played in one online contest a couple of weeks ago just because I was bored. I haven't played. You haven't played either. When do we start playing NHC tournaments and getting back in the groove?
I'm going to look right now, Steve-O, on Twin Spires, and I want to see. I guarantee they've got a Churchill contest today. It's just a question of one. They've got a $100 Churchill Downs, and they got a $500. Today's the 21st, right? Yeah. So today's
the first day of summer, I think. Oh.
Yeah, and tomorrow is my and my wife's 6-year anniversary of our first date, not of our wedding, but of our first date.
You got that down.
Yeah, so we've got 2 contests today for Churchill. We've got a $100 cash contest, with cash being the only prize.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait, I'm looking at the screen now. There's Royal Ascot. There's Low Sell. Here, oh, there it is. $100. It's just cash. Okay, and then there's a $500. What the hell is S? Oh, is that Breeders' Cup?
I'm not sure what you're talking. Oh, where are you? What are you looking at?
What's SFBCC?
Stephen Foster Betting Challenge.
Oh, okay.
I'm not getting that too. I might play that. Is that one also? You got to bet across 5 races. Yeah, 20. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get my feet wet and mess around in the little cash one for right now.
the first, yeah, I've just given away my strategy, but if the first race of the day is our opinion, we can have obviously our full bankrolls, and go from there.
You know what I could do? I could throw the whole bankroll on him in the first race, and then we can hit that, and then I can enter in the $500 contest.
There you go. I gotta bounce, brother, but I'm glad we got on the show again. It'd been a while. We'll start cranking them out and doing them more frequently because we got summer racing coming up, man. We got Del Mar, we got Saratoga, Churchill's going for a little. We got Ellis Park coming up. We love Ellis, right?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we got a bunch of things going on, and there is going to be a tournament. I've never been to Fairmount Park. There's a tournament in September. I think I'm gonna take a road trip down there. I'll see if the Caspers wants to roll down there at that point in time. And
Nice.
I don't know, as far as any other live events, I don't really have anything on the calendar right now, but I know Dylan invited me for I'm in his Dynasty Fantasy Football League. It's right around the Pacific Classic. I don't know, maybe I'll try and work something out for that. But my schedule's so busy. I have so many fantasy drafts that weekend and 3 other live ones that I got to attend. So, but anyway, let's see what happens at Churchill today. Good conversation about Israel and Iran, and we'll watch that closely. And that's it, man. Good to talk to you, brother.
If we kill this race today, maybe we come on and do it in the morning, tomorrow morning.
I'm game.
All right, I'm out of here. Be good, brother.
All right, talk soon.
See you.
All right, bye.